Dear people of Ambazonia, my fellow brave warriors of our liberation movement, accept liberation greetings from me, Comrade John Akuro. Today, this day is the 30th of September, 2024. Of course, today is Monday. It's Country Sunday on Ground Zero. And we all know that today is the eve of one of the most important days in the lives of the people of the Southern Cameroons, or you call it the former UN Trust Territory of British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonia. And I know we usually all look up to this day. And I think because I was a bit distracted, I didn't get to this. We should know by now that always in the lead up to this day, all the security operatives of La République du Cameroon take advantage of it to make as much money as they can, both from the government of La République du Cameroon by claiming massive threats, serious foreign infiltration, weapons, stashed here and there, and so the danger is too much, and so they claim a lot of money from the central government of their country in Yaoundé to address the situation, to be, everywhere, to be omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient on our territory. But at the same time, and this is where it hurts with us, they go out for a massive stop and frisk. Stop and frisk here, I mean that they're kale. And they would cut people, especially young boys, from homes and everywhere and take them to concentration centers where before you go home, you have to pay them serious ransoms. I heard that this already happened in Kumba. It already happened in Bamenda in the past days. Of course, today is September 30. It's a ghost town day, but don't make a mistake to think that some of them will not still come in the dead of the night leading up to tomorrow morning to try and see how to wreak havoc on our homes with the claim that they're trying to nip our celebrations in the bud. This is something we need to know. And so all my country people that for ground zero, may all man be at alert, make all man get whistle for their house, especially this night. When you hear whistle, holla, womb for any side, say this so that bad people then from La République du Cameroon, the day inside quarter. At least since you be informed in advance, you will know which measure for taken. And then say when they know so they don't blow whistle, that they will fear. So me say people don't come outside, block them, and it will become very complicated for them. These are things that need to be done. Have your whistles ready, sound them once you get any interruptions in your home, and so everybody should come out and act in solidarity. This is very important. Like I said, today is our Independence Day Eve, and so therefore I know that there is massive mobilization going on all over the world to ensure that on this edition, the 2024 edition of World Amazonia Day, we should have resounding celebrations, and we should continue to send a serious signal to the rest of the world that we are coming, because Amazonia must be announced and celebrated. Amazonia will be announced and celebrated. I know that in the psychic of La République du Cameroon, they will be feeling that following the arrest of one of us, Comrade Ayaba, that is going to set doubt, confusion, and of course is going to broaden the disarray in our ranks, and so they could tap advantage of that. But I guess that by now they must have seen from their various talking heads on the various television channels that after the euphoria of the first few days, they are beginning to come to terms with the reality of what lies right ahead. At least I could say that much, because I saw one of their vuvuzelas, the Guardian Post, that came out and screamed how, Comrade Ayaba was picked up and there was a massive victory for Cameroon's diplomacy. But they've quickly come again in an editorial, I guess after they followed my last presentation, to indicate that the situation is far more complex than any of them thought. And I think that going forward, they themselves will be understanding the complexity involved in this particular situation. Of course, in the heart of this program, I'm going to bring an update on the situation of the arrest, detention, and the imminent trial of Comrade Cho Ayaba. I have a very important contribution here from Professor Carlson Anyangwe, which is also very edifying. So if you are just connecting to this live show, don't go away. Share the link and share as much as you can, and let as many people join as possible so they can tap from this conversation. Of course, as usual, I'm not halting to wait for people to come in before we go. I just get going. So people will definitely, others are coming late, will definitely catch up with us as we continue in this live show. Now, folks, before we really get into the serious issue of discussion, I like to take a very quick passage through certain things happening in our neighbors country, La République du Cameroon. And I say so because it is the eve of our Independence Day. Let's always remind ourselves why we really want to get completely cut off, why we want to cut off any form of link once and for all, completely with La République du Cameroon. This is very important for us, and we should never ever lose sight of this. Plus, there's a special message from the United Nations that I'm going to also pass here today. So, if you're just coming in, like I said a while ago, just hang in there, don't go away. My people, one of the reasons we are in this today, one of the things that motivated and galvanized, encouraged the people of the southern Cameroons 2016, 2017 to fully support this phase of our liberation movement was the firm realization that the people we have been unevenly yoked to for over 60 years, that these people were people who did not understand the meaning of freedom. That these are people that whenever given the opportunity to choose between the key of freedom and a loaf of bread and sardine, of course, they always went for the loaf of bread and sardine. Freedom has no clear meaning to them. They have no clear understanding of what freedom is. They don't know what use freedom can be put into, and they don't know how freedom can help advance a society. And so when you are unevenly yoked with this kind of people, you will never go anywhere. And if you continue to stay with them too long, you will end up being like them. Because that's what they say. That if you stay in a place too long, you end up being like that place. So this is why some in our midst have suddenly become like citizens of La République du Cameroon. Throw them in the dungeons, throw bread and sardine, and throw them the key to freedom. What they do, they hurriedly run for the sardine. But the people of Amazonia will not run for the sardine. We will run for the key of freedom. That is why we have been in this since 2016 in this phase, and we are determined to go all the way until we get that freedom that we seek, because we know the value of freedom. We know the import of freedom. We know just how you can use freedom to chase away poverty, to chase away misery, to chase away tribalism, to chase away sectarism, to chase away all of those ills that destroy our community or that are destroying our community currently. That is why we are determined to go for the key. Folks, I tell you this. You notice that once they talked about the arrest of Comrade Cho Ayaba, about all the citizens of La République du Cameroon who went to television channels, who went on social media, all of them were screaming, oh, finally ghost towns will end. But today we have ghost towns. The ghost towns are in operation. Everybody is home. They were screaming, oh, ghost towns will end. Oh, the end to lockdowns, end to ghost towns, end to all of this. Vraiment, c'est fini. Maintenant, on va respirer un peu, ou reste a bit. But they can see for themselves it's not shaking. But why are they particularly hurt with this ghost town? What is hurting them more is not even the death in huge numbers, or the deaths in huge numbers of their soldiers on Amazonian territory. In the thousands. What hurts them most is that ghost town. And why is that ghost town their main problem? I'll go ahead to tell you why. Like I said, this is the eve of our Independence Day. We need to remind ourselves the milestones that we are covering, the grounds, the boxes we are checking, and just how our resistance is faring. And this is what we need to know then. Now look at this, folks. The cost of living in La République du Cameroon today has become so unbearable. Those ghost towns have contributed at least 90% to this. You're doubting, ask them. A bag of rice that cost 12, 14, 15, 16,000 in the days. So if it were too expensive, went close to 18, 19,000. Today, this morning, I'm checking out in Yaoundé and Douala, it sells for 45,000 francs. One bag of rice. I'm not talking of Uncle Benson or of Uncle Ben's or whatsoever. No. I'm talking of the normal rice, the one that the poor people eat. 45,000 francs a 50 kilograms bag. That is what it is right now in Yaoundé and in Douala. Someone told me that in some places in Meme, it's even 65,000. In Biya, the other day they said it was 40,000. I'm sure it's getting to 50,000 now because in the La République du Cameroon metropolis is now 45,000. That is just the tip of the iceberg. There is much more to it. The other day, I was talking to some people in Yaoundé and they were telling me, oh, they had difficulty in Yaoundé and Douala. They had difficulties. They were not able to get the kind of foods that they eat. And then some of those traders that they commonly call Biya and Celebs were complaining that they were themselves in lockdowns for 2 weeks. And I was like, wait a minute. Lockdown is in Amazonia, on the territory of the Southern Cameroons. Why should people in Douala and Yaoundé be talking about lockdowns? Oh no, you see, a lot of the food that we sell comes from Bamenda. And so when there's lockdown and this food doesn't come out, we were broke. We could not have anything to sell. No vegetables, no tomatoes, no carrots, no grains, no Irish potatoes. There's no cabbage. No so much, no so much, no so much, no so much. Yet, some tell us that our land is arid. Yet, some tell us that if they cut off wheat, that we depend on them. But you can see for yourself just how they are affected by this on a daily basis. This tells you that some of these measures, people say we punish ourselves. No, they are feeling it so seriously, and it is rocking their society now so bad. Just take a look at this. This is Ministry of Public Health. As you can see on that flyer there, they are telling you that the staff of the Ministry of Public Health, medical doctors, they say les médecins camerounais ont subi une coupe de 105 000 francs sur leur salaire de ce mois de septembre. That is, the medical doctors each noticed that there was a drastic drop of over 105,000 CFA on their salaries. And they say un nouveau coup dur pour les blouses blanches qui font déjà face à des conditions de travail difficiles. C'est-à-dire première faible rémunération. Il faut s'attendre à la baisse de la qualité de soins. Like just say, it was not only medical doctors, nurses, in fact, all health personnel. They discovered massive cuts, a sensitive drop in their pay at the end of the month of September. They were not the only ones. Okay, as you see right ahead, they were not the only ones. But imagine what this means. This means massive misery. Which month? Month of September, the month that children are going back to school. The month where parents have scratched left and right onto done little pickings left and right to send children to school, and they're waiting for the end of the month like Christians are waiting for the return of our Lord Jesus Christ. But at the end of the month, what do they realize? Having taken school fee loans, having other loans run on their accounts and everything, and then suddenly 105,000 disappears from the pay. Is so much pain. I mean, just so much pain. And while they were grappling with that, there were the same complaints among teachers. Teachers were screaming everywhere, helter skelter. Things are so rough. They have lost serious portions of their pay in September. While they are grappling with that, this measure comes up. The Ministry of Transport announces that they are creating 3 new toll gates, 3 new toll gates on the roads in La République du Cameroon. That's especially in the West region. 3 new toll gates. If you understand the convention when it comes to the creation of toll gates are generally created on newly constructed roads because you expect that these roads are now not only passable, these are excellent roads, and these should be express roads, and so people should pay to mitigate the cost of the construction of these roads. But of course, no, that's not true. That has got nothing to do. La République du Cameroon doesn't think in that fashion. The war of occupation in Amazonia is crippling them, and they are ready to turn their citizens upside down to get money. Those citizens of La République du Cameroon who continue to go opening their fangs on social media and insulting the people of Amazonia, who continue to go opening their teeth and screaming, on va les mater, on va les faire ça dur, they are now paying for that war. They are paying for that occupation, I mean, in an unprecedented manner. Because you see, this new toll gate, you have one going from Baleven, Bangang, Bacham, Mbuda. So the people of Mbuda, right there, they have another toll gate. And they say it's a PK 7 plus 65, beginning from Baleven. So Baleven, Bangang, Bacham, and this thing is created at Zemezong. They leave from there. They go to Galim, Bamenjing, Fumbot. Galim, Bamenjing, Fumbot, there is another toll gate there. And that toll gate there, that's in the Noon division of La République du Cameroon. So that toll gate is at Mbami, that's Galim, Bamenjing, Fumbot. Not newly constructed roads at all. They are cash strapped and they are looking for money. And then the third one is Fumban, Kwopamatapi Limit Northwest. So they are creating this one is where there's going to be the border between the Noon and of course Bangolan in Ngokatunja County. So this will be created at Banguren, that's Katien Shupa. That is 40 kilometers from Fumban Central. That's another toll gate. Not newly constructed roads. Why? Because of the pressure. Because of the pressure that we're exerting on them in Amazonia. Things are too rough for them. They are squeezing the population, squeezing them. It will get to a point where the citizens of La République du Cameroon will just lie on the streets and say, just come and kill us because there is no difference between us and people who are already dead. No, it's coming. Let them keep celebrating the war in Amazonia. La République du Cameroon erroneously thought that if they continue to play for time, it will play in their favor because we will get discouraged, we will get broken, we will get frustrated, we will run out of steam, out of resources, and out of patience, and we will abandon. Like they did squeeze the opposition political parties in that country to do that. But they are mistaken, the kind of opponents they are facing. The people of Amazonia, the people of the southern Cameroons are a people who, when they set out for something, we go all the way. We don't end our projects halfway. We don't surrender. No matter the pains, no matter the challenges we face, no matter the difficulties we encounter, we keep surging forward. We will not go back. We will never go back. It is forward always, backward never. And I encourage La République du Cameroon to continue playing delay, because they will soon be confirming that they are up against the wrong opponent. Watch this, because if you felt that it's a joke, that misery is taking root in La République du Cameroon, that misery is electing residents in La République du Cameroon, you have there La République du Cameroon's Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motazi. He says that the government of Cameroon owes Cameroonians nearly 672 billion CFA francs in internal debt. You recall that recently they went onto the international market to take loans at how much? At 10%. To say bonds at 10%. 10%. Claiming they wanted to collect that money and pay the internal debt so it will help to stimulate the economy. Hell no, they haven't. And I said on this platform that that money will not be meant to pay that debt. They need that money to pay for the ostentatious lifestyle of the presidential couple, the presidential family, the various ministers themselves and directors who will wipe out everything and nothing will be used to attain the objective they claimed that they were taking for. That's why you see, He says, and there is more than 300 billion CFA francs being owed as unpaid salary arrears. That's unpaid salary arrears. When they talk about this unpaid salary arrears, take into your mind very quickly people who just left professional schools, who just got integrated into the public service, who have worked some for 3, some for 4, some for 5, some even for 7 years with no pay, and hoping that when they're going to pay, they're going to give them all of the money at once in arrears, like what they used to call grow low. I will enable them to start up life. Hell no. The day they decide to start paying, they suddenly begin just with the pay of that month, and they tell you the arrears is in the system. When the government will have the means, they will pay you. But you have worked for 4, 5, 6 years without pay. It is getting worse. The level of misery is intensifying. On this eve of the Independence Day celebration of the people of the Southern Cameroon, so by the people of the Southern Cameroon, aka Ambazonia, I'm bringing all this up just so that we see how far, at what level we are squeezing La République du Cameroon. While teachers went out for a serious outcry, medical personnel are screaming here and there because of the challenges they are facing in September, because they've cut their pay massively with no explanation. This is what Ripon Motaze offered. This is what Ripon Motaze could offer as explanation to explain off the massive cut in people's salaries. But then he's explaining just that for the teaching sector. Nothing said about those in the medical sector. To tell you the level of misery and pain that will be descending on La République du Cameroon, or that's already existing in La République du Cameroon, and that will only get worse. And this is as a result of the wanton occupation of Ambazonia's territory by La République du Cameroon's thugs. So, Lipo Motaze says in this release on the 25th of September that the Ministry of Finance informs public officials in the education sector that a computer incident occurred during the process of automatic career update for certain staff when processing salaries for September 2024. The situation led to an involuntary fall in the salaries of 1,478 staff out of a total of 388,811 public servants. The Ministry of Finance, while regretting the situation, wishes to reassure the personnel concerned to the mobilization of the competent services for the correction of these incidents. Look, for it says, thus, arrangements have already been made for the positioning of supplementary salaries for those affected by no later than Tuesday, October 1st. I am going to be finding out from the citizens of La République du Cameroon concerned whether this concern was resolved. But what you need to know, these are indicators there is no money. They were still waiting to see what will come in from China. After Biya went to China with the arms basket begging for resources, because that is how they now survive. They now survive by, entering from here and there and begging to see if they can have some little resources to, help themselves. My dear people of Ambazonia, it is a very tough time for those people. Very tough time for people of La République du Cameroon. The misery is only spreading. I say the misery is only spreading. And while this is happening, of course, Mother Nature is also making sure to let them get a pinch of what it means to celebrate when humanity in another part of the world is facing horrible vicissitudes from no one other than their own government. The citizens of La République du Cameroon are getting into what they call in French, Ibrois du Noir. Look at this.
Oh, c'est grave alors pour c'est grave. L'État refuse de nous aider. Il semble qu'ici là, il y a ce mort d'homme. Alors lui, ils vont les choses, c'est grave alors pour. C'est très grave. C'est grave alors pour. Ça c'est le terminateur cette fois-ci. Oh, le gouvernement, venez nous sauver. Venez nous sauver le gouvernement. Nous sommes fatigués. Nous sommes fatigués. Ça c'est quelle histoire ça? Nous sommes à la mort, on s'ouvre de l'eau. Nous sommes à la mort. Il y a quoi? Ce pays va de mal en pire. Nous sommes à la mort, on s'ouvre de l'eau. C'est grave.
Please don't be angry at me for laughing when people are in pain, because you say, ce pays va de mal en pire, that this country is going from bad to worse. I'm laughing. I'm laughing. Because when we told them that these things were happening and were going to happen, they laughed at us. Look at them. When you look at flooding situations in other parts of the world, you see government operatives, you see massive mobilization of government operatives everywhere to run to the rescue of the people, to bring the people help and secure. And the succor. You see massive solidarity from everybody. See there, they are on their own. On their own. Nobody cares. That is the kind of community, the kind of society we are running away from. That is the kind of life our people never knew in the golden days of the Southern Cameroons. Oh yes, there were golden days. That's the kind of life we never knew. And all of this is not just because Douala is a seaside resort. It's because of the absence of a functional drainage system. Because if there were a drainage system, the situation won't be that bad. So even if rescue officials wanted to go there, how do they pass? Through people's private rooms, no roads to lead to a good lot of those places. That is what it is. That is what they call suffering, misery. That's what I'm saying. Poverty, misery, pain, and everything is spreading so rapidly across La République du Cameroon. And make no mistake, now that Paul Biya is there making noise in somewhere that, he's sick, you'll be seeing that right ahead. Oh, he's very sick, his situation is so bad. Then we say, it's like he's even dead, and all of those things, the usual tricks. When he comes back there, these same people are screaming, oh, so favor the piano. You'll find them at the airport. Ching, 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 they're dancing. Hey, Papa Paul Biya. Hey, Paul Biya toujours shoga. Paul Biya toujours shoga. Paul Biya. Yes! That is the kind of society we can't. The people of Ambazonia can't be part of that kind of that kind of charlatanism. We can't be those kind of people. That is why we have to do everything it takes to check these people out of our territory. We had better, and we deserve even better. And especially because we have a choice. A choice to either decide to belong to such a corrupt, development barren and morally bankrupt society, or to go take back possession of our land, of our country, and exercise our sovereignty over it by bringing to ourselves development. Finish with
Très, très grave. Très grave. Ça, c'était l'histoire. Chaque année, c'est de trop. On n'en peut plus. On n'en peut plus. On n'en peut plus. Oko.
You have not seen anything yet.
C'est grave, c'est grave, c'est grave, c'est grave.
So that is it. They haven't seen anything yet. And as if that is not enough, because of this rampant poverty, misery, and everything, people are now ready to destroy even the health of their fellow compatriots further, just to earn for themselves some money to live their own life the way they want. If they get abandoned, they say all means work. And Jean-Paul Sartre puts, gives more grease to their elbows by saying tous les moyens sont bons, sauf s'ils sont efficaces. That all means are good, provided they are efficient. That's what this duo set out to do here. They created their own industry using all sorts of rudimentary equipment, using all sorts of dirty objects and all not to produce juice, to produce liquor that is drunk. A country where there's no quality control, no quality test, nobody cares about anything. You can bribe your way to bring even poison into people's houses and you will have your way. Look at this.
Ça, c'est une entreprise de fabrication de jus frelatés. Comme vous voyez là. Et regardez, ça c'est comme ça le jus dans le seau. Ça c'est le jus. Là, ils étaient déjà en train d'embouteiller. Voilà ça. Déjà dans les bouteilles, avec les entonnoirs. Voilà la machine pour fermer les bouteilles. Regardez, voilà les casiers qui chargent dedans. Comme vous voyez, regardez. Ça, c'est le réchaud pour cuisiner les jus. Voilà les marmites. Ça, c'est la matière première. Voilà l'eau qu'on utilise. Regardez. Les voilà. Enlève la main sur ta face. Et voilà. Regardez, ça sont les tissus comme le tamis. Voilà. Ça, sale comme vous voyez là. Et ici, il y a ça. Regardez l'eau qu'on utilise pour nous fabriquer les jus naturels et livrer dans les supermarchés, les boulangeries et autres. Regardez. Consommons, regardez les bouteilles qu'on met dedans. Nous consommons, après on va dire qu'on meurt vite. La jeunesse d'aujourd'hui meurt vite. Alors que voilà ceux qui se fabriquent les morts. Ça, c'est l'usine. Voilà les teintes. Voilà.
Okay. As you can see there, for those who don't understand French, they are showing there that as you see like that, those people are producing sweet drinks. What we call juice or whatever they call it, the jus and all of those things. Soda. We call soda in the United States of America. That is what they are fabricating in that place. Just look at the environment, the dirt and the everything, and they tell you that this is going to off licenses, to bars, even to snacks. That is what people have been consuming in that country. My people of Amazonia, like I say and I repeat, that is a place we must hurriedly abandon. That's what I call the, it is just terrible. And you see a country where there is no development framework agreed to. There is no specific development plan according to which every part of the country will receive resources to see the lives of the people changing. Look at this. That is why individuals will now get up and, request any amount they want at any time with no clear explanation as to what this money is going to be used for. All they know is they are requesting money to use that in developing their land. Whatever they intend to develop, there will be nobody available to tell you. But what is clear is they are requesting money, and that is the haphazard manner in which it goes. If you have nobody up there who can also place that kind of request for you, then you are doomed. Your society is doomed. If you have no high up who can go out there and place a request to say, please, I need this amount of money to do this or that in my locality because the people of my locality are all bought to the CPDM cause, you are doomed. This is what you see every day on the territory of La République du Cameroon. The document you have on your screen there is a document prepared, it's a request sent out by Mr. Kavaye Yege Jibril, who is the Speaker of the Cameroon National Assembly. And you see that document is dated the 18th of July 2024. He's the President of the National Assembly and is writing to the Minister of Finance. He says, appui financier pour la réalisation des infrastructures en faveur des populations de ma circonscription électorale d'une valeur estimée à 450 millions de francs. That is asking the Minister of Finance to put at his disposal 450 million CFA francs so that he will use that to develop some infrastructure in his constituency. And listen, he is the Speaker of the National Assembly, the place where the state budget is voted, where budget is assigned to specific projects. So when he writes to the Minister of Finance, now asking for 450 million, is it within the framework of the state budget voted? No. That is how that society is run. My people of Amazonia, I'm bringing these numerous things on the eve of our Independence Day celebration so that we continue to update ourselves, to update our minds, to update our brains on exactly why We need these people out of our territory the fastest possible. Still in continuation of that particular document. So you see, he says, dans le cadre de mes activités parlementaires en vue de l'amélioration des conditions de vie des populations de Tokombere, ma circonscription électorale. So he says within the framework of his parliamentary actions, they all receive parliamentary grants. And to the best of my knowledge, the parliamentary grants, what is supposed to be given to each parliamentarian each year, should be 40 million. Is it 40 million? No, 8 million. 8 million. 8 million. That's what it was. I don't know if it has increased. Even if it has increased, I'm not sure it will go beyond 10 million. So for the 5 years that the mandate is supposed to be, it's got to be about 40 or 50 million at most. Kaveh Jibril is also a member of parliament who should have the same allocation for his own constituency. But you see, aside from that allocation, he is now asking for an extra 450 million. And his justification, j'ai l'honneur de solliciter un appui financier à l'effet de réaliser quelques infrastructures en faveur de ma population qui est d'ailleurs toujours engagée à soutenir le chef de l'État, son Excellence Paul Biya. So the reason he's asking for this money is that his people are always engaged in supporting Mr. Paul Biya. That's the reason he needs that money. And then he says, en effet, ma circonscription est très vaste, avec environ 100 villages regroupés en 6 cantons enclavés. He says, my constituency is too vast, with over 100 villages, with about six, when say canton, just get them, settlements that are seriously enclaved. This man has been Speaker of the National Assembly for almost 40 years, or no, for well over 30 years. He has been Member of Parliament for over 42 years, Kaveh Jibril. But he tells you his entire constituency is massively enclaved, and it is 450 million in CFA. That is not up to the amount that they spend in their country for 1 kilometer of tar, because they claim 700 million, they claim 1 billion. Although the standard will be about 700 million, they claim 1 billion. So what infrastructure is this going to conduct? So he says, oh my goodness. So you see, this is a shame. This is not only a shame, it's a disgrace, and it's disgusting. This is not how a society should be run. This is not how a society should be run. And while all this is going on, the authorities of La République du Cameroon are counting on the collaboration and cooperation of the population that will continue to drink very hard substances, thus intoxicating themselves completely into surrender, so that they will never rise to say the situation is so bad we need change, so that they will never be or enjoy minds sound enough to ask for better than they are receiving, or to realize that what they are getting is worse than what they ought to get. That is not what they ought to get, or that they have the power to stand up for what they believe in order to get better living conditions. Because while the Ministry of Public Health in La République du Cameroon sends out people to go out there and seize substances, stupefiers that will send people completely, off, out of their minds, Minister Tanga Ponji gets angry that these people are disturbing, because they need to get the people only where they are, allow them to drink themselves to stupor, give them strong drinks, so that they drink continually, so that they drink always, so that they drink permanently, be constantly under the influence, be constantly drunk, be out of their minds, and only have to be saying over fair command. When they take 1, 2, they are out of their minds, and Mr. Tanga Ponji and his rugged government can continue having their way in whatever they are doing. That is why the entire Republic of Cameroon, citizens of the Republic of Cameroon, everybody was embarrassed when they saw this confidential document Mr. Tanga Ponji sent to the Minister of Public Health. This was sent on the 23rd of September. That's just 7 days ago. And this document reads, contrôle des débits de boissons, restaurants, casinos et lieux de loisirs par les agents du ministère de la Santé. Malgré les multiples rappels à l'ordre des autorités administratives, il m'est revenu que vos collaborateurs effectuent encore des descentes dites inopinées sur le terrain pour empêcher la consommation de chicha dans les débits de boissons, restaurants, casinos et les lieux de loisirs. Chicha is actually a very poisonous substance. And Atanga Ponji says, he, the minister of territorial administration, with his governors, have warned the Ministry of Public Health not to go and harass people who are consuming shisha. That's helping them get stupid, get mad, get drunk always, get out of their minds. So that the only thing they get away and say, je veux voir mes enfants grandir, I want to see my children grow. Or, on va faire comment? Or, what's the, Paul Biya toujours chaud gars, Paul Biya toujours chaud gars. If the Ministry of Public Health continues to sensitize the people against taking this thing that it poisons their minds or interrupting them from consuming it, Atangaji fears the people may soon return to their sane minds. And what's going to happen? They will rise, they will fight, they will know the truth. That's why he says, plus grave, ces contrôles se font avec le concours des forces de maintien de l'ordre, sans en référer au gouverneur, préfet et sous-préfet chargés de maintien de l'ordre et de l'encadrement des missions de contrôle dans leur unité de commandement respective. Hey! Atangadi says he's very angry because these agents of the Ministry of Public Health are going around seizing this shisha, interrupting the consumption of this shisha with the help of forces of lawlessness and disorder. That's how I refer to them, because they are never forces of law and order. I say these forces of lawlessness and disorder are only at the disposal of the governors, the GOs, the SDOs. And so anyone wanting to use them must obtain prior authorization. Something that is not being done and he's mad. The people have to be allowed to drink. If you recall in the Bible, you recall Proverbs 30, where Lamuel's mother, King Lamuel's mother, says, Lamuel, be a strong king. Be a king. Don't take strong drink. Give strong drink to the poor and miserable. Let they drink, get drunk, and remember their sorrows no more. Atanga Ponji is not a fool. Allow the citizens of the Republic of Cameroon to drink shisha as much as they can, so that they will forget their sorrows and misery, so that they will not complain when they suddenly see their salaries have been curtailed massively, so that they will not complain when the price of a bag of, when the cost of a bag of rice is moving to 45, 50, even 65,000. So that when they tell them, come and start sing Paul Biya to do sugar, they run in huge numbers because they are out of their minds. And the Minister of Public Health is disturbing. And Atanganji is very frustrated. And that's why he concludes by saying, par ailleurs, la consommation des drogues et autres substances psychotropes en lieu scolaire et en tout autre milieu a déjà fait l'objet d'un examen scrupuleux lors des conférences de gouverneurs de région. Des mesures idoines ont, du reste, été prescrites pour enrayer ce phénomène tout en évitant des dérapages et des abus. Can you hear that? So he says strict instructions have been given to the governors during the governors' conference on how to handle the consumption of these stupefiers and all of those other things. Whether you call them stupefiers of this, of these harmful drugs. The internal instruction is allow them. It makes them happy. It makes them forget about their sorrows. It makes them forget about the absence of development. It makes them forget about the things they are really supposed to be fighting for. So that is why Atanga Ponji expressed total anger and total frustration that something like that is being interrupted. My dear people of Amazonia, like I said in the last segment of our program, we will be talking some two very important things. It's a message from the United Nations, and then we're having an update regarding the situation of the arrest of Ayaba, and then most especially you have some little bites regarding the health situation of the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Mr. Paul Biya. So let's take a 30-second break and we'll come back to it. Let's go over to Kumba. No, that wasn't it. Here we go.
Mama, no. Papa, put your hands on me. Mama, no. Somebody answer. Before it gets too late. Papa, put your hands on me.
Popcorn day, Kona Kumbaro the block. Go for lewa, no student inside the school block. Come up for long on Mondays, we feel enter shock. Freedom of speech now for the rich, so who be you for talk? Think I'm getting nasty now, and we try to see my family they for shang now 2 years now where we never see. But I'm very full of refugees, Bolo no day, no fees. Papa God, rescue your people please. Play chop for Tushin and a Fabshi. Meet inside the chop fed dry like it's on Kashi. Mono no day, we no get TV pashi. Check my shoe for pay, you don't buzz, I jump pashi. My man become a lawyer, say they swat some people cashy. I don't know who be catchy, but I know say they be lashy. We don't know who be the enemy. We dey in stress and pain overseas. Show us a remedy. Kuno.
Nothing no to walk. People just to suffer. Making day for boom. Papa, put your hands on me. They want know the waka. Sibolo know the waka. Before it gets too late, Papa, put your hands on me. Mama, no.
Yeah, those are two folks there in Kumba in Meme County, depicting the kind of challenges that they're facing on a daily basis and the constant harassment from the occupational forces of La République du Cameroun. So you're welcome back. If you're just joining, share the link as much as possible. And before I go into that very important message, there was this image that was forcing its way on just before we took that break. And this is the image of, a collapsed classroom in the far north where Kaveh Yegejibi was asking for money to build. This is the kind of thing that we are running away from. You look at the kind of material that was first of all used in building that classroom. Suffice it to say that in a lot of these places in the far north of La République du Cameroun, what they do is the schools usually don't resume in September at all. And you need to know this because when you hear them come and they are making noise in Ambazonia when we say schools resumption will be pushed by 2 weeks or sometimes by 3 weeks, they make a lot of noise as if it's something that doesn't happen anywhere else and give the impression that we are not interested in the education of our children. Whereas in effect, in a lot of localities in the far north of La République du Cameroun, pupils don't go to school in September. Why? Because the classrooms are constructed after millet has been harvested. Because they will use the millet stems that have been harvested in constructing the classrooms. So they will wait until the harvest of the millet. So a lot of those children usually go to school end of October or beginning of November. And they will end up writing the same exams at the same time like every other person all over the national territory. Because millet has got to be harvested before they now use the millet stems to construct makeshift classrooms like the one that you have seen there collapsing on pupils during studies. That is the La République du Cameroun. That's the kind of country that is insisting at all costs to continue to keep us in subjugation with them. If you stay on with La République du Cameroun, this is the kind of fate that awaits you and me. God forbid, because we can't. Because we can't. Okay? So now, something happened, just a few days ago, that has rattled almost everyone. You look at this image, very interesting. The folk you are seeing there is Joseph Anderson Lay. Of course, Joseph Anderson Lay, who is seated there ostensibly Minister of the Public Service and Administrative Reform. Joseph Anderson Lay was a journalist. He's a journalist by training. He worked at CTV for several years and was a presidential reporter for a good lot of those years. Of course, he hails from Nanga, where the first lady of La République du Cameroon comes from. And so Joseph Anderson Lay, by dint of that, first of all, became deputy director of the civil cabinet, and then they gave him Minister of Public Service and Administrative Reform. So this is Joseph Anderson Lay, you see in that picture, tweeting by himself to say he was so excited to receive the Colonial Senior Divisional Officer for Manu, named Awumfak, Boniface Awumfak, and the mayor of Manfe Tabenchong Ashu. Of course, we have not forgotten Tabenchong Ashu, who organized the roasting to death of people in some locality there in Manfe when they were going there to celebrate the anniversary of their court called CPDM, and he had gone around trying to announce to his fellow friends to leave the place before the disaster will descend. Of course, we all know him. And then he says they were coming to present the gratitude, the happiness, the joy of the people of Eshobi village in Manu. They were coming to extend special thanks through him, the Minister of the Public Service, to the Prime Minister of the Republic, Chief Dr. John Gute Joseph, and to the President, Mr. Paul Biya, for the admission of one of their sons, Ojong M.E., into Enam. My goodness, Jesus Christ of Timbuktu, my people of Amazonia, please, let me say it like we used to say, I say, I beg unakam, unakam so. Hey, this is amazing. What is the mode of entry into Enam? Competitive public examination. Yes, a competitive public examination where you put in your candidature. You meet several candidates from across the country. You compete first for a written exam. If you pass a written exam, your name comes out on the short list. And then you go for orals. And these orals, at the end of these orals, not everybody who was on the short list will make it. They now take those who are supposed to have made it, and the list is published by order of merit. Hey, did someone hear me well? I said the list is published by order of merit, which means the only way you get into Enam normally, in normal circumstances, should be that you are intelligent, you sat through a competitive public entrance examination, you competed, you performed better than every other person that came after you, and you won your position to enter that school. How does the SDO, the mayor, how do they come into be? How does the head of state, the prime minister, come into your ability to get into Enam? We have said this thing 1 million times, that all those public exams are charades, and people doubted. This is Joseph Anderson Lay showing it to the whole wide world, telling the whole wide world that that society is rotten beyond imagination, and that people only get access into those professional schools through this kind of methods. So, implication here, the SDO, the mayor, and others had gone to see Mr. Joseph Anderson Lay to solicit that they should put this young man's name, Mr. Ojong M.E. Now the whole world knows that you have not gone into Enam because you passed an exam. Even your children, because you may already have children, but if you don't have yet, when they grow up, they will watch this outing. They will read this tweet. They will see for themselves that you never passed to enter Enam, that you were politically injected, politically transmitted into Enam. And this is an embarrassment in a country worthy of the calling, in a country that calls itself a state of law, in a country that says they have regulations that they respect. This kind of thing should already have led to the resignation of Mr. Joseph Anderson Lay. But hell no, it can't happen, because that is exactly how things are happening there. What he has done is ignorantly bringing to the global community a confirmation of exactly what kind of state La République du Cameroon is. A banana state. Look at them there. Oh my goodness. This is such a shame. And I think the candidate himself is standing there in the last picture that you see below there. The so-called Ojong ME is standing there. Hall of shame. Very embarrassing. Well, but folks, let us now move to the United Nations, where the General Assembly was taking place in New York. This week, or a few days ago, talking about the situation in Israel. And you recall that way back in 2016, Mr. Mo Ibrahim, if you don't know him, just go onto Google. Type Mo Ibrahim. Mo is M-O. And then Ibrahim. Of course, I-B-R-A-H-I-M. Mo Ibrahim. In 2016 on CNN, he said, the situation in the Middle East between Palestine and Israel can only be resolved by establishing a two-state solution. And then he continued. He said the situation in Cameroon, between La République du Cameroon and Southern Cameroons, can only be resolved by a two-state solution. That was Mo Ibrahim. In 2016 on CNN. You can go onto the web and search. Of course, eventually I'll try to get that soundbite here on this platform that you should watch for yourself. And so this past few days, Mr. Philemon Yang voiced the same thing himself at the United Nations. Philemon Yang is very clear and very unequivocal. Here, is it his position or the position of La République du Cameroon? Because Israel does not want to hear about two-state solution. They don't want to hear. La République du Cameroon has avoided vote on anything in the United Nations concerning the situation in Israel. Now, they fought so hard to have Philemon Yang be the president of the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly. They forgot that would it comes responsibilities that will have nothing to do with the official position of La République du Cameroon. But he will transmit them. And that is why I'm not telling Mr. Young Philemon what is good for the goose is good for the gander. This is what Young Philemon says. Only a two-state solution can end the cycle of violence and instability, ensuring peace, security, and dignity for both Palestinians and Israelis. President of the 79th UN General Assembly, Philemon Yang. This thing was captured on France 24. So, Mr. Philemon Yang, take off both Palestinians and Israelis and put both Cameroonians and Southern Cameroonians. Both the people of La République du Cameroon and those of the Southern Cameroons. So you see what it is. This is exactly how when a pot boils too much, it dirties itself. Hear from Philemon Yang that he believes that the kind of situation that is going on in Ambazonia, which is going on in the Middle East, can only be resolved by a two-state solution. But while back home, he runs his mouth about a certain one and indivisible. Those are the kind of people we are dealing with. But the interesting thing is, it is coming out of their mouths. It will come until it gets there. We will end this conversation with this. You must have seen a lot of this on social media. Breaking news. Écho de Paris. Les médecins demandent à Paul Biya, ou lui demandent d'aller dans son pays. Mais la famille et les proches refusent, espérant un dernier miracle concerning Paul Biya. Let me just speak very little on this and we dump it because we don't have to spend a lot of our time on this trash. I'll tell you something. We have noticed since 2004 that when Mr. Paul Biya knows that the chaos, the level of misery, and the level of disappointment in his people regarding his tenure is getting to a certain height, he uses an ancient trick that some of them on the African continent have usually used to change the discussion and raise his popularity. He did that in 2004 to good effect by himself and his apparatchiks sending out messages and, to give the impression that he was dead, just so that he will suddenly reappear and there will be massive celebrations and everything, and it will be like he is, he is a demigod, a Superman, and things like that. He had done that before, and he did it again. I guess sometimes that was in 2018, 2017. It was 2018 when there was going to be a presidential election. It was even in 2018. That was in 2018. Even my platform was affected because we have people that generally give us trusted information from those circles. Those people were drafted in, and they sent us that information with all the assurance. Of course, a journalist is just as good as his sources. If your source makes a mistake, if you're not careful, you lose credibility because you say something that ends up being unverified. And so these sources, people who trusted so much, and they knew them, that this could be people who give us, and they kept them deliberately out of the neutral and made them believe that it was the real thing, that Mr. Paul Biya was dead. And the sense of, we broadcasted, Mr. Paul Biya was dead, whatever is happening now, that was during COVID, it was now the French ambassador running Cameroon, it was this, I'm even saying it was 2018, no, it was 2020. It's now the ambassador of France running Cameroon and all of those things. No, we need to see him. And in the end, he will just show up. Of course, they have started this again because Mr. Paul Biya wants to be candidate for president in 2025. So this round of it is not going because finally we know the trick. Finally, we have understood the trick. So my people of Amazonia, we should ignore all of this trash. Whether he's alive or he's dead, we have a liberation movement to prosecute. And we have to focus all our attention on ensuring that we kick La République du Cameroon out of our territory. Hey folks, let me begin, let me kick off the extension of that sweet and interesting message of Happy Independence Day to each and every one of us. I will definitely be back here as we, break the day, this 1st October, to celebrate the independence of our territory. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this production, and share the link as much as you can. Let's get this information to as many people as possible. By the way, apologies, I've just gotten, thank you for that reminder. I think I was looking at the time and I was almost skipping because I said there were updates regarding the situation of the arrest of Comrade Ayaba. Professor Carlson Anyangwe sent a contribution here, a very important contribution that I accepted to share here, where he says, I also understand that French Cameroon has requested the extradition of Comrade Ayaba because the alleged crime, they say, was committed in its territory of La République du Cameroon, as a claim. And he says, this is sheer ignorance and stupidity. I'm just carrying exactly what Professor Carlson Anyangwe says. So he says, primo, French Cameroon cannot request extradition because no extradition treaty or surrender scheme exists between Norway and French Cameroon. Of course, that is verified. There is no extradition treaty between the two countries. And Norway is not a shithole country like Nigeria. I call it shithole, courtesy of whoever used it. It's not a rogue country like Nigeria that ignored even the fact that they have no extradition territory with La République du Cameroon, that ignored the international law of non-refoulement and sent Comrade Sisi Kwayuk Tabe and the others to Cameroon. And Professor Carlson Anyangwe continues, and as I have already pointed out, even if such a treaty existed between both countries, extradition will be denied because French Cameroon notoriously practices torture officially and maintains capital punishment as a penalty in its criminal justice system. Capital punishment here will mean the death penalty. Of course, they still have the death penalty in their criminal justice system. And number two, that's segundo. The crime alleged to have been committed by Ayaba is the inchoate offense of incitement, not a substantive offense. It is incitement, not that he was on the ground and did it himself. He didn't commit himself, but that he incited. So it's an inchoate offense of incitement, not a substantive offense. Tertio, the alleged crime of incitement was allegedly committed in Norway. So the alleged crime, so that is where I said before here. You recall in my last outing I said here that Norway will be examining if Comrade Cho Ayaba broke Norwegian laws. And if he broke Norwegian laws, he will be tried definitely in Norway, and he could be sentenced in Norway. He could either serve his prison term in Norway or be sent back to his country, Germany, to go and serve his prison term there. So Professor Carlson Anyangwe says, which is why Norway exercised jurisdiction to arrest the suspect. Norway and not French Cameroon is the place of commission of that supposed offense, the offense of incitement. Comrade Cho Ayaba was not in La République du Cameroon, seated in La République du Cameroon, and committing the offense of incitement, the inchoate offense of incitement. I guess we continue to understand these facets. And then 4, he says the armed conflict between French Cameroon and Ambazonia is taking place in the territory and not in the adjacent territory of French Cameroon. Again, the violence, the acts proper that have resulted from this incitement are not happening on the territory of La République du Cameroon. They are happening on the territory of the southern Cameroons. That's in the event they happened. Because, like I said, this is a matter that is before jurisdictions. So I can't be taking positions or saying it happened or it did not happen. They have the instruments to determine whether it happened or not me on this platform. So the acts proper that are alleged to have been committed as a result of that incitement are alleged to have been committed on the territory of the southern Cameroons, not on the territory of La République du Cameroon. So Professor Carlson Anyangwe says it follows that the substantive crime against humanity, which Cho Ayaba is alleged to have incited, could presumably have taken place only in the territory of Ambazonia, the boundaries of which are defined and delimited by international boundary treaties and well demarcated by boundary pillars on the ground. You see why I said this is a hot potato? Because La République du Cameroon, at the end of the day, is an occupational force in the southern Cameroon's territory. Why is it an occupational force? Because legally, La République du Cameroon has no claim over the territory of the southern Cameroons, because there has never been any treaty of union between La République du Cameroon and the people of the southern Cameroons. This is clear. It's as clear as death. And of course, because also of an international instrument that La République du Cameroon signed up to, that African countries recognize their boundaries to be those acquired at the time of achieving independence. And La République du Cameroon achieved its independence on the 1st of January 1960. At that time, Southern Cameroons had nothing to do with La République du Cameroon. We were a separate territory. Don't forget this. And so Professor Carlson Anyangwe says, despite cartographical and political misrepresentations and distortions, the lawful territory of French Cameroon has never included, does not include, and will never include the territory of Ambazonia. So factually, French Cameroon is in armed colonial occupation of Ambazonia, but its claim to the territory of Ambazonia has for decades always been contested on sound grounds and continues to be rightfully rejected by the people of Ambazonia, in whom sovereignty to their territory legally and unquestionably lies. That is a contribution from Professor Carlson Anyangwe regarding the situation of the arrest of Comrade Cho Ayaba. Like I said, this is a developing story, and there is a lot more that's going to be coming as a result of that arrest. And I said, La République du Cameroon will soon find that Church and Bill Barrister Salai Emmanuel will become a comrade. I want to thank everyone for watching this show. Please share the link, and as I said, I will be back here as we look forward to celebrating our Independence Day in pomp and ceremony this 1st of October 2024. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being part of this show. To God be all the glory.